Sands.
I'd like to call this public hearing to order for the Danaher vacate and replat. Over there.
He's hiding back there in the corner.
Scott.
Talk to us. Talk to us.
The replat of the Danaher addition is from when we annexed it into the county, or into the town from the county. It's 16 spaces, designed primarily for mobile home use. And they have replatted, vacated and replatted that location, in lots, provided sewer and water to those per the original ordinance agreement. So it can be replatted and resold at any time after this. Tonight should be, if there's any objection to that, it's, I think, a great addition to the town.
So we'd take any in favor or somebody not happy with it, please step up to the podium.
Mr. Wickett,
Yes,
was
ma'am.
there a specific reason that you replatted it?
Just wanted to clean the area up and get out of the rental business, and the lots will not be a trailer court per se, it'll be sold lots.
Are there any other comments?
I just have a question. On those lots, are they going to be available for modular mobile home or just stick-built?
They are sized for a mobile home to where they will fit on it. They're 55 feet wide by 170 feet deep, I believe it is. And the way we designed it was, if you buy two, a stick-built house would fit on it fine. Or a mobile home if you want to turn it going east and west rather than north and south. So it's whoever buys them, whatever they want to build on it. It's approved for either trailers or houses.
Will that road still be behind them, or the lots go all the way back to the fence?
No, the
there?
road will go away.
So all access will be from the road?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll close this public hearing and we'll open the town council meeting of May 13th. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any additions or deletions?
I did add in the Housing Authority position appointment, seat appointment that was on the agenda at the last meeting. Artie and I had gone back and forth a little bit about that, and we ultimately decided that there was some question about whether or not it actually went through council. And so initially, I didn't have it back on here, but we decided that. So I put it on the agenda, and the same letters just there in your stuff.
All right. Is there a motion for approval of minutes for April 22nd, council meeting and the May 2nd work session?
I move we accept these two sets of minutes.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to reports. Councilman Moulton.
Yes, I was approached at my shop by Shane Brow, a volunteer fire department. He's concerned about paid firefighter positions and all that. And I suggested to him that if he would like to sway the council's position on that, to submit a proposal that could be better or worse, you know, I don't know, to submit, you know, so we can look at it. So I don't know if they're here to do that today or not, or,
They're doing a controlled burn right now.
Oh.
So all the guys that they could take are at the control burn tonight.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilman Fawns.
I just want to say that I went downtown and watched the wall from Washington go through, and it was very touching. And the fire department was there with their big flag, and it looked very nice. I was proud that the town went out for them like that. And that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, I also watched the wall from the school, which is really neat, really something to watch. Also, I'll be attending a rec board meeting tomorrow on the 14th to sit in. I think a few other folks are going to. On May 20th, I'm going to attend the fire department training. They've asked me to come over and watch and get a walk through of the station. So I'm going to be doing that.
Councilman.
Yes, I would like to thank the people from the museum for coming this evening to give us some information on the work they're doing down there. And I think the artwork on the wall is beautiful.
That is student artwork.
Looks really
From
great.
Glen Rock, the Glen Rock students. We have it along here, and we have some going up the stairs, and we're going to try to switch it out about every quarter to semester, something like that. We thought it'd be fun. So we do recognize that we're going to get some actual picture frames because the plastic shines funny. So
Might I have one question on that? Would it be nice to have a nameplate on each of those
Yep.
pictures so we could easily identify?
yes,
Who
it's a
the
work in
student was?
progress. It's
Okay.
our first showing, so we get it.
Do you have anything else, Tammy?
Yes, we need to talk about switching the next meeting because it falls on Memorial Day. So we need to decide if we want to do it on Tuesday, possibly, instead of Monday, if that works. Council's thoughts on that?
We need to have that meeting because we have to have the first reading of our budget.
Yes.
So do you want to have it on Tuesday, Wednesday?
Tuesday works.
Tuesday's fine.
Tuesday?
Tuesday's fine.
Tuesday at 7? Work for everybody?
Yep.
Okay.
And I did attend my first enterprise board meeting last week, and I don't have a lot to share because it was just a lot of talk about Douglas, but
Okay.
I'm hoping to change that soon. So that's it. That's all I have.
Treasurer Kelly.
I have nothing, excuse me, I have nothing at this time.
Okay. Public Works Randy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have my report. Do you have any questions on it? I switched it up tonight. Making them think.
Is the pole barn about done?
One side of the road left. It'll be done tomorrow, other than the garage doors. I got a hold of the guy finally today.
Okay.
Trying to get a hold of him for 2 weeks, so
Trenched in for the power yet?
not yet.
Okay.
Oh, I do have to say, Randy, we went out to South Rec since it's opened, and I didn't know you guys redid the picnic tables.
Mhm.
They look really nice.
Did the town.
Surprised
park,
me.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Thank you.
Building and codes. Scott.
Since our last meeting, where permits are up 7, open and existing permits are down to 14, which is very, very good. Other than that, that's all I have. Well, I'll take that back.
Here we go.
We had a little meeting this morning with One Oaks. They have a new area manager. His name is Ty Mazak. He literally just wanted to know how the community felt with them and if there was anything that they could do to be better tenants. I thought it was a great little meeting for him to come in and just show any kind of concern. I mean, Glenn had always done that. He took up his place, and they will be expanding with more offices in the future. And, whatever officers we have available ourselves. That's it.
Can everybody hear? Okay.
Yeah, can everybody hear us this evening?
Barb.
Okay.
Okay.
Knew that was coming.
That was coming. Police Department, Council, Chief Thiel, sorry.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Since the last meeting, some of the community events that we participated in included the Special Olympic events that occurred here in town. I was privileged to give the athletes medals after they competed. We also participated in the torch run with the athletes from here in the town, and that was a fun event. We also supported the Veterans Ride as the wall came through town. Within the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 meetings on what's been known as the Spillman Project, the project to bring new CAD dispatching and records management system software for our law enforcement and public safety agencies for Converse County. We had a kickoff meeting last week, which went very well. There's a lot of work to be done, and then this morning at the Converse County Joint Justice Center Commission meeting, approval was done by the commission to purchase the servers that will support the systems, and there will be a backup, essentially a backup server system that will be placed here in Glen Rock to support all the agencies that will be participating.
So the joint dispatch, or all the records will be kept in the server here in Glen Rock?
It will be essentially a backup system. The main system will be housed in Douglas, and if there's a failure of some kind, it will fail over to Glen Rock. And the same, essentially the same setup, the same kind of servers will be here, installed here, as well as data backup and replication servers. It's a failover system.
Right.
And if ours fails, theirs automatically takes over ours, so, yeah. Any other questions for the chief? Is there any report from the fire department tonight, Howard? Okay. Parks Board, anybody here from that?
No, they haven't had another meeting.
They haven't had a meeting, okay. And for me, I want to recognize 3 young ladies tonight. Our town chairman for Girls State, Mary Bolt, brought them in, and there are our 3 candidates for Girls State, and that is Peyton Shadrick and Caitlin Cathcart and Keely Bellinger. They're we won't make you speak. Moving on to, it's items from the floor. Is there any items from the floor this evening?
Good evening. Down to 3 things. One was politics. That's the best example, or best reason I have to call it. For about the last year and a half, we've had issues with the last mayor. Things have gone on. We dealt with bylaws. We submitted bylaws. The fire department did a lot of things to try to get our bylaws approved. We even submitted what the town wanted, and they were never approved. So that's one. The second one kind of ties in with the last administration as well, full-time fire department. I don't know how much research individuals have done. I have many friends that were on the fire department in Gillette. Originally, when the fire department started out, it was all volunteer. They had a few full-time people. And as they added more and more and became a full-time service with the support from the volunteers, most of those individuals quit. A full-time service that you're a paid service with support from a volunteer does not work. That's just my opinion. That was one of the reasons why I decided to retire, because I know, like I said, I have many friends that were on department in Gillette, and it doesn't work. Most of them quit. I will not deny that we had some issues trying to get people, and we still had issues. The one thing I want you guys all to think about, if you go to a full-time service, I guarantee you will lose volunteers. And if you can't afford to have that full-time service in the long run, good luck in getting a volunteer back. You're gonna have a difficult time if this does not pan out and stay for the full length of however you want to run this service, trying to get volunteers back. Because once you go a full-time service, it's going to be difficult. And you can see what Mills is going through now. And Mills has the advantage of they have a service there that they can at least fall back to. Glen Rock loses their service, who are you going to go out to? And the last reason was, frankly, the EMS calls. I've been a BEC for 20 years. And actually now they call it the EMR. I'm one step down from EMT. And the number of EMS calls that we've been called on in the last 6 months are crazy. I don't know if they're trying to make the numbers increase so that you can justify the position as a full-time chief or what, but we're being paid to assist on calls that I, as an EMT, or not an EMT, a BEC can handle by myself. It's ridiculous. I don't know if any of you have ever looked at the calls that we get or what page is out. I don't know if at some point somebody decided that Douglas was going to page us to all calls, because I know that's the way it works in Douglas. But we're being paged to calls for no reason. We have a paid ambulance service that we're paying for through the hospital as taxpayers, and the fire department's being called to drive an ambulance when it only takes 2 people to run that call. Those are the reasons why I quit, or didn't quit. I retired. I was on the fire department for 15 years. It took a lot of soul searching, to be honest, to quit, especially since my dad's still on it and he hasn't quit, and that was pretty difficult to quit when he's still on it. But I just, at some point, had enough, and that was the reasons why I quit. So I just want to set the record straight. If you guys ever want to talk about my opinion or whatever, feel free to contact me.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Anything else from the floor? If not, we'll move on to new business, Housing Authority appointment. Artie, would you like to step up to the microphone? You guys all have a copy of that still? You should have.
Yeah, I cut it somewhere.
Yeah, I'm Artie Schubert. I'm the current chairman of the Glen Rock Housing Authority, the Barber Apartments. And last meeting, we had submitted a letter requesting appointment of Danae Ryden, who was here briefly, but she left, to take the place of someone that had to step off the board. We're basically a volunteer board. People come, people go. And everything stalled at the last meeting because I think there were some lingering questions why it's a council decision or appointment. And what I sent to Tammy, I don't know if you have it in your packets, but it's the original Articles of Formation. In 1976, the Housing Authority was established by the town of Glen Rock. And also in 96, Vince Case, who's now circuit judge, I assume he would have been the town attorney, put together basically a letter of ingredients that went into forming a board and how to appoint commissioners of the board and how to remove commissioners of the board. These are still in statute. And right after that was the appointment of the first 5 Housing Authority commissioners. Staggered terms, 5 years, 4, 3, 2, 1, with the intent of having a rotation of people. I don't know if that fell by the wayside, the regular appointment, but since I've been on the board, we've been, as a matter of routine, submitting a letter to the town requesting appointment of a replacement board member. If somebody, I came on when Lloyd Boozer passed away, and that was in 2009. And I think I was appointed. I'd have to go back and check. But,
No, that was a life sentence.
yeah, it could be. Anyway, what that letter was an attempt to get back to the town council appointing our members. Basically, they're walking, we let them sit and attend a meeting or two to see, if they're really, truly interested. And if so, then we submit the letter to the town requesting a formal appointment. Now, I don't know, I think we have a meeting this Wednesday night. We could look to see where we are in a hypothetical rotation. So I would, on a multiple of 5 years, I suppose, and looking at our join dates, or appointment dates, we might be able to formalize it into who's the 5-year appointee, who's the 4, and get that list to you. But basically, being volunteers, we don't have a high number of people banging on the door trying to get on, so. And I think that might be why the formal procedure fell by the wayside. So if,
So are you still recommending Danae for?
we are.
Okay.
We are. She's interested, and we have an excellent group up there. We really do.
Any questions for?
No, I think.
We just missed your smiling face.
Yeah, I was afraid of that too.
Okay, so is there a motion for the recommendation for the Housing Board for Danae Radin by the board? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that they recommend that Deanne Radin as a new board member.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Next order of business is Charles Randolph Railroad Safety Resolution Proposal. Is somebody, there he is.
Thank you, Council Glenrock. I'd like to introduce myself into the audience. I am Charles Randolph. I'm an ex-BNSF train dispatcher. I recently retired here in June of 2016 and returned to my home state of Wyoming from Texas. Not familiar with the railroad operations in this area. The BNSF operates the single main track that runs through Glenrock here, and I was the train dispatcher that dispatched that line for 15 years. Now, what the railroads are proposing is to start running trains with one-man and no-man crews. Now, you're wondering, how can you run a train with no mans? Well, they plan to use satellites. Needless to say, I think this is a very bad idea. A lot of people are not familiar with train dispatching. Train dispatching is the equivalent of an air traffic controller. We control all movements on the track, and that includes maintenance and testing of the signals and stuff at the crossings. You can't get on the track without the authority of the train dispatcher. In this area here, it's known as dark territory. The conductor and the engineer on the train has to copy what's called a mandatory directive. The dispatcher gives them the permission to get on the track, the limits that they can travel, and when that information between the conductor and engineer is discussed among them and repeated back to the dispatcher and is corrected by the dispatcher or okayed by the dispatcher, they're not allowed to move the train until then. Same with the track people. They get what's called tracking time. They get on the track, they do the maintenance they have to clear for the trains, or in the case of maybe a broken rail or something like that, we hold the trains until the situation's fixed. Now, in this territory, like I said, it's dark territory. Does anybody here on the council know where trains were dispatched here from? Anybody? Well, I'm here to support a resolution that says 2 men on trains. As I've said before, The railroad wants to run trains with one man and no man satellite control. One of the issues is, like I said before, on the two-man crew, you have this redundancy of permission to get on the track. The conductor and the engineer have to discuss the mandatory directive they've got. It has to be repeated to the dispatcher, and he has to okay it. The train doesn't move until then. With a one-man, you have a higher possibility of a mistake. It should cause a head-on collision. There might be something missed. He might go beyond his limits, whatever. With no man on there, I can honestly tell you, the blip on my screen in Fort Worth is nothing more than a red line, and I can't tell if that's 10 miles or 100 yards. So if there's nobody on the train and something happens, how am I going to know something happened? Now, the railroad's proposal is have what's called a master conductor. If a train pulls into, or something comes in coupled, or something happens to the train, they will notify, the first person who gets notified when anything happens to a train is the train dispatcher. The first thing he does is he contacts wherever it needs to be contacted, whether it be police, fire, ambulance, whatever. And then he tells the supervisor, and that is the way it's done. Problem with that, if there's nobody on the train, how am I going to know something's happened? I'll know the train's not moving maybe, but I won't know what's wrong with the train. I don't know if it's derailed. I don't know if it's just an air hose or a broken knuckle. The idea is, then we call a master conductor. He comes out, he looks over the train, says, oh, it's this, it's that, it's derailed, whatever. And then we go on with the process. The only problem I have with that, I'll be honest with you, more than likely, that master conductor would come from Casper. But not necessarily if they're already on another call someplace else. It could be a half hour, it could be 45 minutes, it might be an hour before somebody shows up. If you're on a crossing over here and you live on the other side of that crossing, you're having a heart attack, and you can't get your EMT or your emergency people to you, what are you going to do? You got 2 crossings in this town. And they're running 7,000-foot trains that block those crossings, I can guarantee you that. What are you going to do? If I don't know what's going on, I can't fix it. So this is one reason why I don't like this solution. Okay, now another thing. They say they want to run trains by satellite. Well, before I became a train dispatcher, I studied astrophysics at the University of Wyoming. And I can tell you that if you have a solar flare or a solar event, your satellites are going to get really screwed up. Your GPS goes out, communications get busted. Sometimes it only lasts a short while, sometimes it lasts a little bit longer. In Ontario one time, the electricity went off for a couple of days. So I'm going to ask you again, do we really want to do that? So I'm hoping that the council will consider what I've said here before. Does anybody know what type of trains we run through and some of the commodities on these trains? A little bit of everything. How many know we have a unit molten sulfur train that runs through here pretty regularly? What's the temperature of those trains? Warm. Yeah, about 200 degrees. Lean up against one day. I did that one time on a road trip. Yeah, it's something that it'd be very, if it came off the rails, it'd be very, very nasty. And if you've ever seen a train even going 10 miles an hour going off the rails, it's pretty weird where they keep coming, although they're off the rails. So I hope that the council here, what my proposal is here, they tried to pass a 2-man resolution in the last state legislature. It passed with strong support in the House of Representatives where the bill 104 was presented. You should have copies before you what that bill is. But when it got to the Senate Transportation Committee, one person caused it to be killed for that legislative session. So what we're doing is we're going to all the towns, all the city councils, and we're telling them the facts about how a train gets, a lot of times they're trainmen and stuff like that. They can tell you how a train runs and stuff like that. But I tell you how they're dispatched and where you dispatch from. Because I did it for 37 years. And why the train dispatchers completely, totally are against this against this idea of running trains with one-man and no-man crews. Engineers are not allowed to get off trains. They can notify the dispatcher that something's wrong, but they won't be able to go back and cut the crossings. They won't be able to go back and find out what's wrong. They'll have to wait to the master conductor, wherever he's coming from, to let him know what's going on. So I hope the council will take this in consideration when I've just told you and vote positively for this resolution. We will take these resolutions to the various councils and to the Senate Transportation Committee in Wyoming again, and we will show them all these resolutions and the support that they have received from the towns along the railroad tracks. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Is be resolved that the town of Council of Glen Rock, Wyoming is in the interest of public safety, railroad safety, and efficient transportations of goods over the railroad system in and through the city limits of Evansville, Wyoming, supports the continued presence of two-person crew members on freight trains. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to accept the resolution.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
On the resolution, if we're talking about Glen Rock, why does the resolution specify Evansville?
Yeah, it says Evansville. It passes through Evansville. It passes north of Glen Rock.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I thought I gave you another copy of the
It's the only one we have.
We don't have that.
No, this was the one that,
This is the only one. This is the only one we've seen.
I apologize. I stopped up here.
it was with me.
Going to Casper.
That was with me. Yeah, it even says on here Glen Rock, Wyoming, but it's just,
And the only one we have says Evansville,
Yeah,
as
it
far as
says
the
Our
resolution.
council, but it says passes through the limits of
Right.
Evansville.
You got a copy of the correct copy?
no, I got this one that you gave me. It says Evansville.
My apologies. I could have sworn I know I brought some new ones up here.
It could be changed to,
Hmm?
right? If you guys decide to vote for or against it, I mean, it can be.
Scratch it out.
Can we accept this and change the word Evansville to Glen Rock?
If you want to make that motion.
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
I make a motion to change city limits of Evansville, Wyoming to read the city limits of Glen Rock, Wyoming, to support this resolution.
And I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
One more question, Mr. Mayor. It doesn't actually pass through our city limits, does it?
Passes north of us.
Do we need to have that little technical detail noted?
Um,
That doesn't make any difference.
Would still affect our community if
gonna say
something would
thing.
derail out there. Unfortunately, we've had several nasty accidents out there. We've been struck out here by the lignite plant and other problems and affected all of our emergency services. And when a train hits something, it takes a long time for it to stop. It sweeps them a long ways down the track. It's a nightmare and a mess. So I have no problem with what it is if anybody else doesn't. If you want to strike limits, it's fine. It's just north of Glen Rock.
Let's just put it north of Glen Rock. I just think to be technically correct, we should have this north of Glen Rock. It doesn't go through.
Here I go again.
Just say so moved.
So moved.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded one more time.
Scratch the whole thing and rewrite it.
Yeah. Any more questions?
I apologize. I'll
Oh.
be more accurate next time.
That's okay. We still appreciate you bringing this in and bringing it to our attention. If not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed by nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is ordinance number 712, an ordinance providing the vacation and final plat of the Danaher Court Edition comprising of 2.3 acres more or less. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept ordinance on the Danaher addition,
On first reading.
on the first reading.
Okay. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Chris?
Oh, boy.
What?
Did you ask me a question?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Not yet. Here's a summary of the Deer Creek Day request for, they're all for open container, correct, Tammy?
Yes.
For the Shoreliner, container for a beer garden in the area, parking lot on Birch Street for Friday night and Saturday night until closing 2 a.m. Knotty Pine, open container for their back deck, they have listed on permit 6-21 to 6-23, from 10 to closing. Would like to verify, Friday and Saturday.
It's actually,
Into Sunday morning at 2 a.m. What's that?
it is.
Four Aces, catering permit for Friday night in the parking lot between the Four Aces and Mahu Bay until closed. They are hosting the Ranch Rodeo, Calcutta. Cowboy State Brewing and Chamber, 24-hour malt liquor permit to host a brew fest in the parking lot between the Four Aces and the motel again on Saturday until closed. Deer Creek Lounge, open container permit for the beer garden along Aspen Street between 3rd and 4th Street on 6/21 and 6/22 from 5 p.m. till closing. Higgins Hotel, catering permit on 6/21 through 6/23 for 5th Street between Birch and Aspen, and Kimball Park for a concert, etc., until closed. And then South Rec, the Chamber has filled out an open container permit for South Rec Deer Creek Days. As for now, there are no plans to sell alcohol, but people would like to bring their own and be able to open containers during the festivities of the Ranch Rodeo. The time listed is from 9 a.m. to 12 midnight. I think the rodeo's over sooner than that.
We're gonna back up the times. I can give you the exact times if you on the rodeo. Can you give me the time?
Sure, if you want to change your time real quick.
I have the things on Jimmy's. One sec.
I have a question. Do they still have the extended hours for Deer Creek Days on Saturday nights available? Like, because we were supposed to close at 2, but like back in '08, I think we got to stay open till 4. I've been asked, and I was like, well, I'll ask.
I was not here, oops, sorry. I was not here for that. The only time I was here for extended hours was on a New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we haven't, since we've gone back to the open container downtown, we've had it, at least the council has closed it at normal closing hours of 2. We haven't extended it past the 2 a.m. Nobody's really asked for it, and we've kind of stayed with that since we've allowed it to be out in the, in that area. Since we closed it off, it's made it easier, less problems inside, so we've kind of stuck with that unless somebody really has a good reason why to extend it on past that. I would have to also hear a recommendation from my chief of police whether or not he would want that to be extended, but right now it's 2 a.m.
I would recommend that 2 a.m. is late enough, early enough in the morning to be drinking.
Yes, sir.
And we can wait until 6 a.m. to start up again.
Bruce, can you give me the times again for the Ranch Rodeo?
It just says out at South Rec, it says 9 a.m. to 12 midnight. I don't know why.
So we have early,
Now they got your,
so there's gonna be the barrel racing, out there.
and your mutton.
And the mutton busting,
Busting.
and then the Ranch Rodeo, and then the, cowboy, they're doing, on Sunday, they'll also have another type of rodeo going on.
That's, okay.
So I think the reason that we opened that time up is just because we will have guys that will be staying out there in their trailers. And they, of course, have alcohol in their trailers. So if somebody is walking around because they need to have a early morning beer, that would cover that time. They wouldn't be getting a ticket for having an open container because they have their living quarters out there. So I think that's the time. You guys make it what you want. It's fine, but I think that's why Jimmy just put the time as being at 9 to 12.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. We kind of put all these open container actions under one, so is there a motion that would cover 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 6 or 7 of them, all of them?
I move that we accept all 7 of these.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Comment on something?
Yes, sir.
As far as South Rec goes, I would like the no glass signage that applies for the other establishments here off of Birch
Yes.
to be put up down at South Rec.
Yeah, no glass containers out there. Just let-
Absolutely, and we'll put that on our Deer Creek Days, the rodeo website page too as well. So I'll be aware of that prior to coming into the park.
Thank you.
An open container is from the Aces Alley to the Deer Creek,
Yes,
in the street.
in the street out there where we're closing the street from 4th to 2nd Street.
You
Yes.
can make that walk down there.
Yes.
And also, were we going to, request to incorporate that next block?
Well, because we were going to allow them to cross 4th Street and walk down the sidewalk to the Higgins.
Okay.
That's in the resolution.
That's in this next one. We have a resolution that takes care of that, but we're just doing the open container right now. So there's been a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Was opposed by nay. Motion carries. Next is Resolution 2019-10. This is a blanket resolution, the same as last year, to allow open container on Bird Street from 2nd Street through to 5th Street at this year, as well as the alley located between Aspen and Bird Street and 3rd and 4th Street, so the patrons can move from one establishment to the other. The chamber has also submitted that their event checklist has been spoken with Randy regarding their request. Is there a motion for the Resolution 2019-10?
I'll make a motion that Resolution 2019-10.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It moved and seconded. Any discussion?
The only discussion I have first is that I have the application ready to submit to the highway department, shows that, I just want to bring it up now, I need you to sign it.
Okay. Yeah, if you can give that to us, we'll get it signed, make sure it's correct, and we'll get it sent off to the highway department. Yes.
And I've submitted a copy to the chief of police and also Amy
Okay.
of that.
Okay.
So to get to the Higgins, it's on Birch Street, not Aspen?
On Birch Street, not the back street.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. What's next?
We didn't vote.
We have
We didn't vote.
You need to vote.
Oh, we didn't vote?
Yeah, we're gonna vote still.
Thought you voted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
All right, moving on.
Moving on, that's called for day drinking again. Liquor permit for the Four Aces for the Ducks Unlimited banquet to be held at I believe the Rec Center. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve that permit.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Are they here? Why the rec center?
Hold enough people.
I'm here for it, but I don't know why they chose it.
I think they just chose, that's where they're going to hold the dinner this year. I don't know why.
I think that what they told me was that they've been having it at the Higgins, but it's becoming too small. So the rec
Usually a
center was,
big turnout.
yeah,
You used to get a real large turnout in the past, so apparently it's picking up again.
more room at the rec center.
Okay. Any other questions? And I believe it's been moved and seconded.
Yes.
Now we got
I didn't write it down.
I have it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. And do we want to take care of bills and claims real quick?
Nope.
before we
Nope.
Talk to the Paleon?
Oh, before we talk.
Give me a chance.
Hi.
Let him finish.
Sure, I just didn't want you to
Let
skip
me
them.
finish. Would you like to do bills and claims before the Paleon does their presentation?
It's fine.
Anybody have a problem with that?
I have to excuse myself, so.
Well, that's all right. You'll just have to state that when we do that. So is there a motion for bills and claims?
I make a motion, we pay our bills.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I'll excuse myself.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now, I'd like to, who's your speaker for the Paleon this evening? You're the one with the target, buddy.
There's no target here.
Maybe, maybe not.
Anyway, my name's Stuart McCurry. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the chairman of the Paleon Foundation Board. Margaret Nunn met with us a few weeks ago, and actually might have been a couple months ago, but it was, we had a really nice visit with her, and she just asked us to come down and kind of give everybody an update on what we were doing and where we're going and how things are going with the Paleon. We hadn't talked with you guys in a long time, and so we figured this was a good opportunity. So I wrote down some bullet points just to guys give you an idea of what we're doing, and hopefully we can answer any questions you have. We've done really well lately. We had that slump after during the Obama administration. We were really suffering along with everybody else, and we're starting to come up out of that now. Last year alone, we had visitors from 46 states in the United States. We've had visitors from all 50 states over the last few years. Last summer, we had visitors from 53 different countries. So we are enjoying quite a few and quite a diverse visitorship at the museum. We do one-on-one tours with our people, and they seem to really like it. Being a small museum, it's a little difficult for us to match what a lot of the bigger museums do. So we try to do that by being personal with them, take them into our preparation lab, do things that most big museums don't. I've had visitors come in and say, we were just at the Smithsonian and we enjoyed your tour more than there. So kind of big for us. Another thing we started 2 years ago is doing summer digs. We did about 40 participants last year. We do 1 day, 2 day, and 5 day digs. And these are paid digs. The people actually pay us for the privilege of digging for us, which is kind of neat. They're educational digs. We're not just out there doing slave labor and all of that. We get, we get what I refer to as our little paleo nerds, and they just have a ball. We actually did kids digs for the first time last year. We did ages, unfortunately, we went as young as 5, which was a mistake, but we did between 5 and 11, and they came with their parents, and they had a good time. Couple things that we're going to try to do in the future is to do educational digs. We had a gentleman approach us this last year who was wanting to do some educational digs from students from China. And they were, I believe they were ages 13 through 16? Yeah. Unfortunately, that fell through. The reason being is housing. They couldn't house 30 students at a shot here in Glen Rock, and they couldn't afford to be shipping them back and forth to get them in. But that gave us the idea of that, we don't need them, we can actually start our own. So that's something that we're planning on doing in the future. I don't know if I said it, but this last year we did have 40 participants in our digs, and it's actually working out really well. We anticipate as many this year as we had last year. it is both fun for us, it's educational for them, and it does give us extra sets of hands out at our dig site, so it actually is helpful. We do something rather unique. We don't just let them watch. They actually participate in the digs. They're down there working the bone with eagle eye of our director of paleontology standing over them, making sure they don't destroy something. Right now we have 23 volunteers. They were down for a while, but we're starting to get up. Our volunteer age is between 13 and 93. So we have actually Barb, who is our 93, and then I know I'm in trouble, but we have as young as 13 now, which is something that we've struggled with in the past, is getting teenagers to start joining us. Right now we have at least 4 teenagers, and their energy is infectious. It's wonderful. 2 years ago, and what started respurned our digs was we partnership with the Morrison Museum out of Colorado. They have a small museum that is very like-minded like us in Morrison. They have a director of paleontology down there, and he's also the director of the museum, who is very marketing-oriented. So we've used them for our marketing in a lot of our digs, and then their volunteers come up and participate with us also. As of recently, we had a young man who we had when he was 14, a gentleman named Scott Pearsons, who came to us during summer digs years and years and years ago. He is now Dr. Scott Pearsons, PhD, at the University of South Carolina, and he's contacted us to start doing things with them. South Carolina may be great for education, but for doing digs, there aren't any digs out there. So he wants to start internship programs with us through the university and start doing some educational programs through them. In addition, they want to start building their museum, and they want to do that through our molding and casting. We have some unique casts that nobody else has. He knows that, and he's going to be more involved with us. That's very new. He just contacted us about 2 weeks ago about this, and so it'll be kind of slow in going, but hopefully we'll get there. One of the things that we lacked in the past that we are now working on, we have a new volunteer who is computer savvy, so we are working on our social media. We had a website. She has now expanded the website. We've added Facebook, and now we've added Instagram, which we are up to 620 followers now? 560, sorry, and growing, because it's brand new. So we're going to be expanding all of that. We have our website. We have our website store with all of our casts and things like that. One of the things that we've been over the years trying to expand is our molding and casting. Margaret got to see that firsthand as to how we do that and what we do in that aspect. We have some very unique fossils. This year, giving them funding, we're hoping to be able to mold and start casting our Brontosaurus skull, which doesn't sound like much, but that's probably a $2,000 item if sold at other museums. Once we get it all completely done, it'll be ready to go. Molding and casting also relies on what we find in the field. I always joke with them that it's all about teeth and claws. When they go out, find me the teeth and claws, those are what people buy. But when we can get whole dinosaurs and things like that, we can mold and cast it. Those can be very big items for selling later on. We recently, last year, we moved our molding and casting downstairs, opened up space upstairs, actually created more space for the molding and casting, and have kind of formalized it a little bit better, so I think it's going to go a little bit better. With that, we are going to expand our bone storage. I shouldn't say expand, but I should say we're going to shelf it and do more, start organizing that a little bit better. We've got right now fossils in about 3 different locations. We want to consolidate them into one. Once we do that, we'll be able to completely vacate the upstairs. We still have some fossils up there. We'll completely vacate the upstairs for whatever you guys are planning on doing with it. We won't be around there to be in the way. So hopefully we're going to be able to do that, and that's going to help us utilize our space a little better. We have vacated some back rooms and started consolidating a little bit. And hopefully that's, I can't say we want to reduce our space. What we're just trying to do is utilize what we have in the best way we possibly can, and I think we've been pretty successful in what we're doing so far. One thing I want to touch upon is a recent find we had, and I shouldn't say recent, but in paleontology it's recent. It was a find we made 4 years ago. We started digging pretty earnestly last summer, and finding that we've actually got a unique species of animal that we're digging up less than a mile from town. it's turning out to be maybe a significant fine. Regardless of whether we find the complete animal or not, we have another display out of what we're going to do with this animal. It is a species of ceratopsian, what we used to think is called Torosaurus, and if it is Torosaurus, we'll have the most bones ever found off that particular animal. So the museum can be very fluid in what we find out in the field and how we change things and what we do. We could right now expand the museum. We have the bones to do more displays and that sort of thing. We haven't so far, mostly because we haven't known what direction the museum is and whether we've got any longevity. The last 4 years have been pretty rough on us. We did the best we could, and I think we've done pretty good. But we can expand. We're ready to go larger if we need to. More displays, better displays, that sort of thing. It's just kind of depends on what happens in the future. I'm going to make that short. Any questions from you guys? What we're doing, how we're doing it?
I have just one question for you. When's your normal board meeting? Do you have a monthly board meeting?
We have a monthly board meeting second Thursday of each month. We just had it this last Thursday. Anytime you guys want to come down.
Time's your normal meeting?
We started at 5.
5 p.m., okay.
But certainly we're open to discuss. I know Margaret came on a Saturday and I came down and met with her. A few weeks later she came down and we went through the entire building and just kind of looked and talked about things and what we're doing and what the building's doing and that sort of thing. But yeah, we're hoping we can continue a good relationship and like I said, we're growing and things are going really well right now and really fast, and we're kind of enjoying that. So.
Well, I'd like to come to your next board meeting. We have some ideas we'd like to discuss with all of you. And
nice.
Hopefully we move forward in a good direction.
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay.
Any other questions? I know it was fast, but you guys went fast. I heard.
I was going to go tick-tock, tick-tock. Yeah, she said 30 minutes. I'm going 5. Come on.
10, maybe.
Is there anything else to come before the council meeting tonight?
Thursday at 5 o'clock at the museum.
If not, I'll call for a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you for everybody for coming.